little.
Kyle told us the other day that probably not a lot of starters are going to be playing in this upcoming game. But what about somebody like Pooney, who's been working with the first string, but who needs experience?
Yeah, we haven't gone through the final. I know I've made my suggestions. I think most of the guys will play up front for a little bit anyway, and I'm not sure what we'll do. There's a couple spots maybe that won't, but we'll look at it and see. And obviously, Pooney's going to play. I think he's going to play some extended time. In my opinion, he should. But we'll make that evaluation as a staff and make sure I'll make my recommendations, which I think he should play. I don't know how much that's going to end up being, but we'll take a good look at it and see. But he needs some playing time. I mean, it'd be good for him to go against other people, and it'd be great for him. All the guys.
Chris, you got 3 rookies here. You've watched them practice now for a few weeks. What traits stand out about Kingston, Pooney, and Nugent?
Everything. It was really, really good this year. I was talking with one of our scouts this morning, and we were just discussing how these guys they've kind of played out the way we thought. I mean, Pooney obviously maybe a little bit better from the fact that how much he's mentally picked up and able to step into this role right now, and has done a good job. Although we saw that in potential in him, obviously. The other 2 guys are about what we thought. Kingston, very athletic, quick, has the potential to move inside and play guard center for us, and has done that. He's got to learn to anchor some things, and then all that has shown up. It showed up on his college tape. It's not a surprise it showed up here today. Same thing with Nugent. I mean, tough, tenacious, hard-nosed, good guy. More of a center than a guard, but has filled and done a good job. So all the guys have kind of checked all the boxes that we kind of thought they had. It's kind of cool to see that we didn't miss as far as that goes. What their potential is and all that will still yet to be seen. But as far as the traits and things they have, we like all of them.
What do you want to see Saturday night that you haven't been able to see up to now with against each other?
Well, what's good thing is our defense does present different things, but we're familiar with our defense. So now you get a new defense, new set of challenges. So you want to see how guys adjust on game day. You want to see if you can make some game, on sideline adjustments, see if they can go out and adjust and do it. See how they play against different people, different techniques. Well, we won't be able to give them as much prep time. That's just a disappointing thing. You're trying to evaluate these guys, and you don't give them the same prep time that you do during the season. You can't spend the whole week on Tennessee, and you don't know who's going to be playing for them. So the guys have to be able to go out there and adjust to different techniques, different fundamentals, and then you just see how they do that.
Especially for the rookies, does it feel like they're kind of itching to go against some other people?
I haven't felt that way. I mean, the young guys, I'm sure the older guys don't love preseason games, but they do love the chance to go against other guys. It does get a little bit old going against the same guys all the time. I really think that the young guys are just looking for whatever we ask them to do. They've been good, and I think it will be cool to see another journey. I remember my first preseason game when I was coaching, and I wasn't playing, but I was coaching in Minnesota, and we played against the Cowboys at Old Dallas Stadium. And to me, it felt like it was the Super Bowl. I mean, I couldn't believe it was an NFL stadium, and I quickly realized it was just a preseason game. But there's that initial moment where they're going to see another team in another uniform, the helmet they've seen on television or on Madden or wherever forever. And it's been like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then it'll soon settle down to be a good game, but it'll be exciting for them. It is that first preseason game.
How much value do you think the preseason still has? I know they cut it down from 4 to 3. There's talk of cutting it down to 2 or getting rid of it completely. How much value do you think the preseason still has these guys?
I've always thought it has value. I mean, again, I'm going to say old school, but I do think it has value. Obviously, the risk reward playing starters. That you risk injury in a game that doesn't count. But as far as development of a player, going against other players, competing against other players, having the opportunity to show what you can do against somebody else, and you kind of get to a routine with guys. You kind of get to know the guy against you, and that's important. That familiarity thing. Sometimes you see it happen within the course of a game. A guy becomes familiar with a player, and so how we may start a game and how you end a game when you get used to a guy or he gets used to you can challenge you. And that's what's good for these guys, is to get different opponents, different looks, different things like that. It totally changes the atmosphere of a game. It helps for the younger players. It gives them game rep experience that they would get. Now it's not the same. You notice a tick up from preseason to season, obviously a big jump. That's season to the postseason. And then every week of the postseason, that intensity level goes up even more. The pressure, the stakes, and all those things get bigger. But this is different than being out here. Even though the crowd at 4949 is pretty intense, it's not going to be quite like it is in Tennessee.
Two of your more experienced guys are Chris Hubbard and Brandon Parker. What have you seen out of them in camp, and what do you need to see out of them in the preseason?
We've seen what we need, I think, in camp. Obviously, in the preseason, it'll be nice to see them go out and play in our system. because they haven't played in our system before. So seeing that transition will be good to see. But I think we've seen what they will be. There obviously could be a jump, maybe positive or negative ways. But I don't think there will be. I think these guys are pretty tried and true vets. They're fulfilling the role we brought them in for. They're kind of there to steady things. If there would be something going, you have some stable veteran backup type players there that are competing and doing a good job. Hopefully they'll be able to just keep doing the same.
Chris,
Hubbard also more versatile, I guess. Maybe like could you move him inside if need be?
It could. I don't see him doing that for us, though. I think he's primarily a tackle. Just after being with the guy for a little while here, I think he's primarily a tackle.
Chris, Trent continues to hold out. We know what kind of player he is. Does it concern you? And at what point, what does he need to get ready for week 1 in the Jets? And when in this process would you be concerned if he's not here?
Yeah, it's every guy's different. I don't know. I'd have to talk to our strength conditioning people the exact ramp up time that a guy needs to be ready to play in the regular season game. It is hard. Those 60-something plays you play that first week, I've stated that's the most tired I've ever seen NFL players is when they come to the sideline after the first drive of the first game. No matter how hard they've conditioned, no matter how hard they've trained, they've never competed, full speed competition, which goes back to the question about a preseason game. That is more full speed competition than what you get out here. There's that snap to whistle, all the way through the whistle, all the way from the snap to it's never quite, and we always pull off. There's not tackling. There's that little bit left in practice that you don't go to full speed. And there's not that 100% strain. There's strain, but each guy lets off a little bit to protect the team and anything else. So that getting a guy ready for that, there's a level that you have to go through practices. And I don't know what the exact number is for any player. It doesn't matter whether it's Trent or any other player. You have to prepare properly. We found that when in 2019 we came back, McGlinchey and Staley came back from injuries the same week against Seattle. And we played a long game, it was an overtime game against Seattle here. And we really found out with offensive linemen, it's different than receivers. Like, for example, you can get a receiver and say, hey, we're going to run so many yards over the course of your rehab time to get their strength and conditioning back. But it's really hard to get that drive on a player, that hit, that total strain that you get as a lineman. That how do you measure that, getting them ready to play in the game? And so after 30, 40 plays, both Joe and Mike were gassed. It was unbelievable to see how fast that you hit the wall and then fell off. So it became really imperative that we figured out how to train guys properly to come off injury and experience that push, pull, and strain without risking them. It happened to Trent. Might have been the COVID year. We played in LA, and he was coming off of an injury. And man, we were in the last drive. I think Robbie kicked a field goal to win the game. And he said, I barely made it through the drive. About the beginning of the second half, he said I was done. There's that level of that. He'd come off injury where, I think he practiced a little bit that week. We said, oh yeah, he'll be fine for the game because he practiced on Friday. Well, there's more to it than that. Long answer here. I don't have the exact thing, but there's something to that strain, that push, that pull, no matter how many games you played in, that you have to prep for it. Because even when you've done the full process, opening day is hard.
Take 2 more.
How long after opening day do you see them kind of hit their stride?
It doesn't take long. It's amazing that by the next week, it's pretty good. They've played a game. They kind of know what to expect. They're in great shape. It's just, I guess it's that last little, get over the hump to try to finish it. It's not like you see it week 2 or 3. It's just, it's always amazed me that first series, that first game, it is, if you have any plays, obviously 3 and out, they're not very tired, but if you play well, so.
How often does a guy in a preseason game surprise you completely? Is that something that happens all that often?
It can happen. I tell you, it happened with Banks, not in the preseason, it happened in the regular season. He just was okay. He was doing well in camp. And then all of a sudden we started playing in Chicago that year and on after that. And the energy he played with, the finish he played with, the consistency was just different in practice. I think that, the grind of period after, you don't come to the sideline and rest. You're just going and going and going and going. And sometimes some guys don't weather that as well as in a game. You've got the energy of the stadium. You go plays, you come over your defense plays. There's just the whole feeling of a game. And so that can happen. Preseason games, it has too. I can't remember offhand, guys, but there's always that guy that when you get in the competition, he just lights up. It's different. You can go full speed. You can dive over piles, things like that. So it's kind of fun to watch.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.